So I guess Logan Paul just beat Floyd Mayweather. Let's talk about a few things first, which is absolutely crazy. Number one, KSI knocked down Logan with a clean overhand. Floyd couldn't knock down Logan. Logan went 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. Didn't get knocked down at all, obviously. He would have lost if it was on points, but you could also say that Logan Paul won some rounds on Floyd. Now, yes, you could say, oh, but Floyd usually gives up a few rounds to start. Logan Paul landed clean punches on Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Logan got him on the next.
Landed a couple there early,
okay.
the left and the right hand.
Okay.
MMA Friday on
Yes, Floyd is 44 years old, but he was in shape. Didn't look nearly as tired as Logan. Logan looked a lot more gassed. And the big thing that we noticed is that Floyd underestimated Logan very much. And I think he thought he would just get tired and just wither away, and then he would just break him down and then finish him. And obviously Logan knows this, right? This had to be the main game plan. So he showed up prepared, and I think he realized that, okay, he was getting tagged a little bit when he would overextend and he would miss. So he started to clinch more. And he has this crazy habit of just like diving his left hand for a deep underhook, which is good for clinching. And then this was the MMA fight. You know, Logan obviously would kill Floyd, clearly, but he always just digs in this deep left hand. And there was also a moment, I think it was the 7th or 8th round, that actually Logan landed a left hook. And I was like, man, instead of that digging the overhand, I wish he would just actually throw that left hook. We always see him throw in training camp or on the mitts. I would like to see him throw that more, but he kept them digging that underhook. And again, that also allowed him to survive the 8 rounds and not get knocked out. Or even knocked down. He didn't even get knocked down. And he only was hit by a few hard punches a couple times. It was never really rocked, right? It got popped a little bit, but this goes to show that how important weight classes are. Now, it's not just one weight class to one weight class. Some guys move up, you know, a few weight classes up and down. But when you're talking, you know, 30, 40 pounds, that's a big difference. And the first thing I noticed was how big Logan was in comparison to Floyd. It looked crazy out there. We've seen some pictures and stuff, but I knew like once we get in the ring, it's gonna be like super obvious. And I was still even surprised at how big Logan was in comparison to Floyd. Floyd looked really small in there, and I think Floyd realized, you know what, this kid is a little bit better than I thought, and he's hitting hard, and I'm a little off maybe, and I'm not having the same pop my punches. And he was very tentative. Floyd was very tentative. In the beginning, obviously he has to get a feel for him, and then he started working him, but I think he gave up too much in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. He gave up so much. Then he was just, you know, covering, staying there, letting him tee off, and talking to him and telling him to work and stuff. And I think he thought he would just take over, and that Logan was gonna fatigue out in the 3rd, you know, 4th, 5th, and then by the 6th, 7th, 8th, he'd be done. But Logan looked pretty gassed in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But he got a 2nd win, especially in the 8th round. He looked really fresh. He's clearly been training. The moment was not too big for him. Man, I was really impressed with how focused and relaxed and how poised he was throughout the entire fight. He's got Floyd in there, and Floyd did land some clean punches, and he was talking to him the whole time. He was focused on his game plan, and he was hanging in there, and he was competing with Floyd, aware of everything that's going on. And Floyd seemed to get a little flustered, and I think he realized he wasn't going to get him in the end, so he just kind of went back. Instead of trying to be desperate, I think we obviously would have wanted a knockout and wanted Floyd to go for it, but let's be real. If Logan started, you know, extending and going wild, number one, he risks himself getting knocked out, and number two, if he doesn't get it, he just looks super desperate and like he can't get it. So Floyd said he's going to go out there and just beat Floyd Mayweather, and he did. If this was a judge fight, Floyd wins. He landed cleaner punches. I think that Logan might have been deducted some points, or would have got a lot of warnings for the excessive clinching, and, you know, just because you're initiating a clinch, not just clinching and then going back to work. It was obviously extremely excessive. But that's an exhibition, right? All this stuff is a part of the rule set. Floyd knew that and obviously thought he was going to take him out. And Logan showed up ready, took some real punches and landed some real punches. That is mind-blowing to me. The fact that he landed this combination, jab and then overhand. And one thing that really bothers me, I've been mentioning it in the last couple of videos, but Logan tends to slap with his punches more, which means that he's hitting more with the front of his glove, right, rather than the knuckles, right? And then when he jab is like this, and then his overhand, he hit it with his right hand, he hit it like this, right here, instead of turning it over like an overhand hook. Imagine, instead of Logan slapping over like this with a hook, imagine he turned it over and caught straight knuckles, right? That's a big hand, a lot of weight. I think it had a much bigger difference impact on the fight. Now, I know that style is what allowed him to be elusive and to survive, but I was just like, man, I wish he would just turn over his punches, because for him to knock out Floyd, he not only would have to land a punch, he'd have to land it perfectly, right? And it didn't look like Floyd he was a little stunned by that punch. He was definitely caught. He didn't. I don't think he saw that one. He saw the jab, but he saw that one late, and he was a little stunned by it. And that one might have woke him up. But imagine Logan turned it over, right? He had opportunities. That was to me, that was a cleaner punch than what Conor McGregor landed on him. That was one of the cleanest punches Floyd has been hit with, period. That statement alone is just mind-boggling. To have yes, we know he has the potential, but for Logan to have the poise to go out there and do it, incredible. Logan gets the dub in this situation. I know it was a lose-lose for Floyd, but this is even more of a loss, because he had to also acknowledge he was a lot better than I thought he was, and called him a good young fighter. Obviously, we mentioned he wouldn't be able to fight within his own weight class at that level, obviously, but that wasn't the argument. The argument was, even though he's bigger, it doesn't matter because of the experience, and this is the real league and stuff like that. And Logan proved, if you can, you're focused and you're working hard, you can do what most people thought was impossible. There was also a left hook landed. I'm not sure if I can find it. Obviously, the footage is out there, but it was later in the fight. When the time he threw his left hook, that was another punch that I thought he should have thrown more, and obviously body punches with Floyd. And I thought this would happen, especially early. I wanted to see how Floyd fought, but Floyd at some moment during the fight thought, oh, I'm gonna take this guy out late. He's not gonna be able to touch me. And he started walking in with his hands up like this, just clenched. And Logan just was like tapping away and not going for the shot. I don't think he should have thrown the heat at that point, but when Floyd was punching and initiating, especially that left hook, when Logan was slipping or ducking under or reaching for the clinch, obviously it worked out. So I'm not saying, he did anything bad, but that is the only chance that he had of knocking him out, is that when Floyd goes to initiate a combination or initiate a punch, that's when you have to start your punch, right? So your body's waiting almost like a rope. It was like a connection between your movement and his movement. As soon as Floyd, opens up, you're getting ready to shoot that right hand. Now, of course, Floyd's feinting and doing those things, but he wasn't doing that, right? This wasn't Floyd fighting like a Floyd Mayweather. He was, exhibition Floyd Mayweather. He was walking forward like this and clinching. So if you're doing that and you open up, that's your only option. You're not just doing like little feints like this. You're not just doing those little things, staying in your guard. You don't have much options to punch from here, right? When you just have your hands like this, you have to drop your hands to throw a punch, even if it's right, or shoot it out. So in that moment, you don't want to be first. If you're first, he could have parried and threw a hand. I think that's what Logan was waiting for. But those are the moments where he could have drawn him out or been like, come on, hit me, drop his hands like he did. And as soon as he goes initiate, that's when you shoot the counter punch. I was actually really impressed that he landed the jab overhand hook. Man, I really was waiting for that opportunity. I was waiting for Logan. I almost felt like similar to the KSI fight. I was like, man, with KSI, obviously I was rooting for him. So I was like, oh boy, is Logan going to shoot that right hand because JJ's available? And I thought Floyd was very available for those punches. And not to just like forward pressure, but I thought there was times where Floyd was underestimating Logan. And I'm like, man, Logan can crack him right now. And he landed his punches. He survived 8 rounds, and he won a few rounds. What a world we live. Simulation is not broken because there wasn't that like extreme moment. But I will tell you, the picture of Logan holding his hand up, and then the clip and the picture of Logan landing those clean punches. Just like we talked about that uppercut for Conor McGregor, who was a 2-time, a 2 weight class champ in MMA, in the UFC in the highest level, not with knockouts and all this stuff. What Logan did, let me explain this to you. What Logan did when he landed that combination, That had nothing to do with weight, right? It had nothing to do because, yes, he was bigger, so he had more reach. But that had to do with timing, the poise to be able to throw that combination in the heat with a legend like that in the bright lights, and to be able to land a combination, a clean 1-2 or one, overhand on Floyd, which is pure boxing. No excuses for Floyd whatsoever. Obviously the age thing matters, but I guess we got our answer. I said in my last video, I wonder what the formula is when you have someone like Floyd Mayweather at his age and his weight. How big does a guy have to be? And then next to it, right? What was the word I'm looking for? Coinciding with that word. How good does he have to be? Right? And it looks like Logan was good enough. Even though I thought he could have fought better. Still good enough to survive all 8. Logan Paul, you're probably not listening. Maybe I'll clip this and post this. If they have a rematch, do not take the rematch. Do not. I know you said in the post fight, maybe, he let me get out of there at times. He didn't let you at the end because you were clinching and he realized maybe he's not going to get you out of there. But in the middle of the fight, he was fighting like an exhibition, and even was early. There's moments where he started to open up and speed it up, and he started to throw some stuff, to turn in, to show his A game or his B game, so to speak. And he didn't do it the whole time. If you fight Floyd again, and he knows that what you are, he's gonna go in immediately trying to break you down, right? Real punches from the beginning. Not gonna let you tee off. He's not gonna cover up like this and let you do that. He's gonna be firing punches like crazy. High volume, high punch count. It would be bad. So let's just clarify that. What's mind-boggling to me is that Floyd wasn't able to make the adjustments to take him out early. He did it against McGregor, couldn't do it against Logan Paul. And to that, what I say to end with, I wonder how Tyron Woodley feels right now. Is he a little worried now that he's seen that the guy who was supposed to be taking him and training him couldn't take out Logan? Maybe Woodley now wants to go after Floyd. I don't know. So now it's on to the TikTokers versus YouTubers, and I guess now real fighters. Should we call them real fighters now? Who is the king of YouTube boxing? Is it KSI? Is it Logan Paul? Or is it Jake Paul? I'm in disbelief. Leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you soon. Oos.